Hey, what's up guys? BC coming at you with some bonus content. I've got some numbers for you guys. The ratings are in for AEW and NXT, the head-to-head battle from October 8th, 2024. Of course, AEW got Das Boot from their Wednesday time slot due to the Major League Baseball playoffs. My New York Yankees versus the Royals Game 3. So Tony Khan found himself in a position he did not want to be in, right? It's not like 2 years ago where they were whooping NXT. It's a different landscape now. And Tony Khan had to pull out some tricks, right? So he was able to go live at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, an hour after NXT hit the airwaves. NXT ended at 10 p.m. Tony Khan was able to go to 11. So both shows were 2 hours. But NXT started at 8, AEW at 9. So they were only head-to-head for 1 hour. Tony Khan was hoping that was going to help his promotion. Guys, these numbers are absolutely shocking, man. And my veteran subscribers will tell you, I'm not usually shocked by numbers, right? I'm big into numbers. I'm big into ratings, metrics, statistics, because I feel they tell a story, right? When you deal with numbers, you're dealing with facts. We don't have to talk in opinions. We don't have to sit there and just disagree with one another all day. We can talk about facts and how to make things better or what's working. Do more of that, all right? That's why I love ratings and numbers. This is one of those scenarios, though, where I'm actually shocked. Nobody in the pro wrestling world saw this coming. Nobody saw AEW pulling what they pulled this past Tuesday night. I'll start with NXT because that might be simpler to, even that's kind of shocking. I'm absolutely stunned by these numbers, man. I was not expecting this. Let's start with NXT. NXT last week, right? Their debut on the CW, they pulled 895K, right? They were almost at 900,000 viewers. Now, a lot of people thought because they were going to CW, they were going to pull 1 million, 1.5 million. Those are people that don't understand numbers. The fact that they pulled nearly 900,000 viewers when their average on USA was barely 600,000. So you went up another 50%. That's massive. The real trick here, the real question was how much are they going to fall off the following week, which was this past Tuesday, especially with competition from AEW. So not only are you no longer on your debut episode, because we believed that was the main reason they scored nearly 900,000. So we knew there was going to be a drop-off. Then you add AEW competition. How bad is this drop-off? Are they at least going to be able to keep the 600,000 they were getting on the USA Network? Guys, NXT only lost 21,000 viewers from last week's debut on the CW. NXT was able to pull 874,000 viewers from 895 last week. They still stayed almost at 900K. This is not even the debut. This is with competition. Now, you can absolutely say it's because Hunter Hearst Helmsley chucked over massive main roster talent to Shawn Michaels, and you would be accurate. There's no question. It's only their second week on the CW, so they want to maintain that stability. And on top of that, Hunter Hearst Helmsley wants to defeat Tony Khan, just like vice versa. And we know this because Hunter always does this when he goes against, or when Shawn Michaels, when NXT goes against AEW, they pack the show with main roster talent. So half of that is because it's only the second week of CW, and the other half, no question, they wanted to defeat AEW because you saw Randy Orton, you saw Jey Uso, you saw Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, Waller, Theory, and others. So they absolutely packed, stacked, and jacked NXT with main roster talent, and it paid off because they've cracked the numbers. They know that a lot of casual fans are going to flock to see main roster talent on NXT. It's not really doing anything for NXT talent. The numbers are showing us that they're not really getting a rub from the talent because when they go back to the main roster and NXT's developmental has to kind of depend on themselves, the numbers fall flat. So it's not really helping them, but it patents the numbers at the time they need them patented. And that was this past Tuesday. So, yeah, you could put an asterisk at it, but that's 2 weeks in a row that NXT has been over 850, basically 875 even, and almost at 900,000 last week. So you're looking at a show that barely hit 600,000 on average on USA, and so far they're over 850 on average on the CW. Now you go to the flip side. And this is where it really gets shocking. And again, as somebody that follows numbers, always have, even when I was a kid watching the Monday Night Wars and checking out ratings and seeing how Monday Night Football was getting beat by pro wrestling, I was just always enamored by numbers. Still to this day in 2024, numbers matter. Statistics matter. Metrics, ratings, they matter. AEW, off of their normal night and off of their normal time slot, obviously. 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. One of those hours, one of those 2 hours head-to-head with NXT competition. But AEW pulled in their lowest rating at 329,000 viewers. 329,000 viewers. Guys, last week was 680,000. Which is, I don't have to tell you, is so far off the pace. When they started this thing a little over 5 years ago, you were at a 1.4, I believe. So even if you cut that in half and you keep that around 700,000, they're in the 600,000s now. They're less than half of what they started with. Their new normal is 650 to 700. It wasn't long ago where their normal average, their average was roughly 950K, which was frustrating for Tony Khan, right? Because you were 50,000 viewers away from that million. Not that you win any gold star or prizes or cookies or gold medals by hitting a million, but it sounds good, right? It looks good. 1 million viewers. But Tony Khan was 50,000 away always. Every week you were hovering 950. And then we started to see it just downward spiral, right, to 900, then 875, 850, 825, like an auction, 800. Do I hear 775, 750, 725, going once, going 7. Do I hear 675, 650? It kept going lower and lower. And it's like they couldn't get that life preserver, right? Nobody was throwing them that flotation device. They were just sinking. And to this day, they continue to sink. And there's times where they have, I think anyway, pretty damn good shows, or for the most part anyway, really good segments, captivating stories like Swerve and Hangman. And it's just the audience is turning away. And when you see 680,000 last week, you know there's going to be a drop because you're off of your normal night, you're off of your time slot. Okay, how bad is it going to be? Are you going to be able to at least keep 500,000 viewers? That's horrible, yes, but at least you're only losing $1.80. Guys, but to lose over 300, nearly 350,000 viewers, it almost doesn't add up, right? You almost don't want to believe the numbers. You almost want to believe that there was a mistake made somewhere, here, there, right? There's got to be a mistake because it's almost inconceivable. You can't even conceive the notion that out of their audience in totality, only 329,000 viewers actually tuned into their product this week. Right before Wrestle Dream, by the way. They're promoting this big event, Wrestle Dream, a go-home show. And 329,000 viewers were able to see your final build. If they're not going to watch some highlights the next day, over the next couple of days. But they're not going to watch the show in totality more than likely. That's what the numbers show us the next day and 2 days later, right? That's what highlights numbers show us. 329,000 viewers. Their lowest audience in totality. Even Meltzer, guys, this is what Dave Meltzer said. And for the longest time, a lot of people believed Meltzer was in the pocket of AEW, right? Good buddies with the Bucks. But even Meltzer says this. This is interesting. This is a quote. It's very clear at this point that AEW's audience, unlike 2 years ago, is choosing WWE, and they have less of an exclusive audience than before. So Meltzer's coming right out and saying that Of the choice that they have, whether you want to call AEW an alternative or not, fans are flocking to WWE now more than ever. And he's also saying that the niche audience is evaporating. Now, that's not rocket science. We know this, right? The niche audience of the 950 in totality, the 950,000 that they were pulling on average, of that, approximately 8 to 850 was sheer niche audience. So now, out of 680,000 as your new average, of that, you had have to believe 5 to 550 is your niche. So you see the rapid decline at an alarming rate. They're losing viewers at an alarming rate. And again, there just doesn't seem to be any way out of it for Tony Khan to kind of dig himself out of that hole. And by the way, I know a lot of the community feels that Tony Khan has just given up, right? Especially with the new TV deals. He fought so hard for him. He didn't exactly get what he was looking for. So he's kind of like hurt by that as well. So he kind of gave up on the product at large. I do not see that at all. I don't look at Tony Khan as somebody that just gives up on something he created, something he's so passionate about, and something he truly wants to see grow. I think it's just a case of him doing too much. I think he wears so many hats. He has all these ideas, and he goes into this mentality of quantity over quality. So more promotions, more shows, instead of one promotion and one flagship show. Just do one show, master that, and then go on from there. What I mean by that is before you even start talking about buying other promotions, just have AEW make that a success. It's going to take time. It's going to take years. You're not going to be profitable for years. But just concentrate on AEW. He didn't do that, and he started purchasing other promotions, and before you knew it, AEW Dynamite was already kind of a thing of the past. His mindset was, let's bring in Rampage. Everybody was like, wait, don't you want to put Dynamite to a place where it's a consistent, where it's a solid, where it's pulling in 1.4 to 1.5 mil bare minimum. It's not the greatest, but that's not that bad for an upstart company. 1.4 to 1.5 million viewers for Wednesday Night Dynamite. Don't you want to focus on that before you start talking about Rampage? It was not that far off, man. Dynamite debuts, and it seems like if you snapped your fingers, if you blinked, if you dropped your hat, Rampage was already being talked about. You know, when they got Monday Night Raw, it was years afterwards before SmackDown was a concept. They built Monday Night Raw. They made it a household name. They made it a destination, appointment television. And then SmackDown came on board. There was no reason to start a second show. And sure enough, Rampage fell to the wayside numbers-wise. And what it did was it actually hurt Dynamite. So what was Tony Khan's response, right? And it's not just him. I know the network is kind of like, hey, bring another show in. It's just easy advertisements. As long as you can pull 400,000 or 500,000 viewers, we can get some advertisements. We'll continue to grow, I'm sure. But they didn't. But their answer to Rampage kind of cascading in the numbers and Dynamite getting affected by those numbers is they added another show. They brought in Collision. So a third show, man. So then you had Dynamite, you had Rampage, you had Collision. They were doing 3 shows mid-AF instead of 1 show exceptional. That's what was happening. And they had like 200 individuals on their roster, right? They just kept on. To this day, they keep on adding people to their roster. And what ends up happening, it's inevitable, is you put too many people on a ship, and the ship, no matter how sturdy it is at one point, the ship is going to sink. Or it's going to steer off course and hit an iceberg. But that's what's happening with Tony Khan's AEW is bringing more and more individuals onto your roster it's not going to equate to higher ratings or a better TV deal or just success in totality. Adding more people to your roster, adding more shows to your weekly schedule, adding more promotions to your portfolio. So when people say TK is just giving up, I don't see it like that at all. It's the opposite. He's trying too hard. He needs to relax, take a breath. RELAX. Focus. Focus. AEW, man. Chop off all these other shows. Focus on AEW Dynamite. Unfortunately, this new TV deal, it looks like Warner Discovery kind of has him by the balls. It's kind of like they're just going to add a lot of stuff that's going to benefit them and not so much the company. So that in a couple, 2-3 years, if Warner Discovery says, Das Boot, check you, thanks for the 2 to 3 years more of service, I don't know if Tony Khan's AEW is going to be in a better position than they were going into this TV deal. Hopefully that makes sense. I think he's doing too much. I've said that for the longest time. You guys know that. I have said that for the longest time, that he is doing too much too soon. He's trying to be WWE within 5 years. That's what he was doing within 5 months. The thing is, it took Vince and Kennedy McMahon decades to get to the WWE that we have now. They're recording record profit and revenue over the last 3 years because now they're resting on their laurels. Everything that Vince McMahon did and built over the last several decades, Endeavor is now reaping the benefits and the rewards. So did Vince when he sold, right? $9 billion. Everybody now is reaping the benefits of all the hard work and all the decisions that were made in WWE and the roller coaster ride over the decades. The 80s, the 90s, all the eras, the golden era, the attitude era, the ruthless aggression era. So now they can rest on those laurels. You can have the mutual respect era and they're still going to record record revenue. And Tony Khan tried to do that all within 5 years. Within 5 months, he tried to be WWE. He's like, yeah, we're the alternative, but don't get it twisted. We're competition. Well, then build yourself to be such. 329,000, guys. It's a discussion, numbers, like I said, I can go on and on with this type of discussion. 329,000 viewers. It doesn't even matter if you're not on the same night that you're on normally. You're still hoping that your audience is going to represent, especially knowing you're going against NXT. And to see that NXT, is it double them? 658 would be double. 758, 858. I mean, you're headed towards tripling AEW's audience on Tuesday night. And you can say, well, that's NXT's night, BC. Sure. But they're also on a whole different channel, man. People are still trying to find the CW. I know BC still is. I don't even know what channel that is, if you have the CW. So, I mean, NXT's still in flux, too. They're working hard to kind of get that USA audience to come with them. It looks like not only did they come with them, but a lot more. And it looks like, especially from what Meltzer is saying as well, is that they're taking AEW's audience along for the ride. AEW's audience, and like Meltzer's quote, which is what's happening. BC can confirm this based on my research, is that AEW's niche audience is saying no more, no thank you. And a lot of that niche, some of them are just stopping watching wrestling. Yes, a lot of them are headed over back to WWE. 329,000. Of course, we expect that to go up some when it goes back to Wednesday nights, but they were already averaging 680. This is not good. When you were at 950 and you were trying to get to that million week after week, to fall off 300,000 viewers, and to know that if you are booted off your time slot, you're going to lose half your audience up front. AEW's got a serious issue here, and they have to figure out a recipe for success, because this is telling us that the audience is not liking this product. And NXT, we are talking about NXT headed toward 1 million viewers. Is that possible even? I guess if WWE keeps giving a main roster talent, yes. If they have to fend for themselves, I suspect this is going to go to about a 750 average over the next couple months. That's where I think this is going to end up for NXT, which is still better than their USA number. But we'll see. We hope the best for both brands, man. NXT trying to make a name for themselves on CW, and AEW just needs they need something. They need many things to work in their favor. So I know there's tribalism, and people are going to want to squash the company they don't like or the brand they don't like. But for BC, I see clearly on what's at stake here. In these promotions are healthy for pro wrestling, man. It makes pro wrestling better when WWE does have competition like AEW, when NXT and AEW go head-to-head, and it creates this buzz in the community. So I really hope you guys are not wishing on these brands' downfall. We should be wishing for their success because it makes everything better. Trust me when I say that. I lived through an era called the Attitude Era. It was the Monday Night Wars, WWF, and WCW. And there was nothing like it, man. And hopefully one day we can have something like that again. So the only way to do that is for these companies to be successful. And 329,000 viewers. That's not success. That's not far off from being out of business. Thankfully, Tony Khan has a wealth of money, or at least a resource, right? A waterfall avenue of money that he can obtain. So I don't see them going out of business like a normal company would. But if this was somebody that didn't have unlimited resources, very real that this company would be out of business possibly in a year or two. That TV deal would absolutely just be eroded. And Discovery has that opt-out clause too, don't forget. Wild, man. BC was absolutely shocked by these numbers, so I definitely wanted to make a bonus upload just on this one subject, because this goes hand in hand with my last upload, which was a very special upload. I was able to do NXT and AEW's review. I'm not usually able to do such. Very busy, especially on Tuesday and Wednesday nights for some reason. But I was able, on this Tuesday evening, to catch both shows, do my due diligence in my notes, and we had about a 48 minute upload, dissecting, critiquing, and reviewing both shows. So thank you to everybody that caught that review, both shows review in one upload that went up yesterday. Appreciate that big time. And I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. We're captivated by it. To Rob Reverne, by the way, salute. I did see the couple coffees you chucked at the channel, man, via the super thanks option down below. Much love and respect. I appreciate that big time. Rob Reverne. Also a channel member for over a year, mind you. So that is a double salute to Rob Reverne. Appreciate you big time, man. Always love when you guys chuck the coffees on regular uploads, man. Usually I'm like standing in line getting a coffee, and I see the box light up. It's a super thing. So I'm like, haha, you guys, man. This is on the house, the amplified unit getting this one. Appreciate you guys, man. Until next time, and there will be that next time, BC and the amplified unit saying check you.